This is how much we know about movies. We just if you want a raw review of movies, you're getting it right here because we don't know shit.
Dad! Oh, fuck, I don't know, man. Is that like nostalgia purposes for kids these age?
I don't give a shit. I don't care.
We get that, Pop.
Fine, I'll Google it through the magic of podcasting.
You don't have to Google it. I'm just saying, you just take it out.
No.
Not bring it out, or just be better prepared.
Shut your fucking mouth.
I am your father.
Man, sometimes I wish like things would stay at a simpler time mentality.
Welcome to the Two Dads Review podcast. I knew you were watching it because I watched it again just a minute ago because I was like, oh, I got till 9. I'm gonna watch this shit one more time just for the hell of it.
I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you watch
it
any.
3 times.
Yeah, like I don't like so far. Like shows like Parks and Rec are the only kind of shows that I can watch over and over again because even though there's like plot elements that move on, like the basic concept of the episode is pointless. It's just a day in the life of, right? Yeah. Like I could maybe watch Discovery twice and then I'd be like, I never ever need to see it again.
Well,
like
yeah, but I don't.
Like 10 years from now, I'll be like, I don't ever need to see it again.
Yeah, well, I don't watch it 3 times because I want to. I mean, I do want to, but it doesn't do anything for me. Just
well,
because...
I know that, but you also like. I think one time you watch it, and then the quote unquote second time, you're like, now you say it's for the podcast, but I really think it's just because you're like, I know I miss shit, so you want to watch it again anyway.
That's also true, but both are synonymous. It's for the podcast, and it's because I don't. It's because I'm too busy hyping out like a fucking nerd.
You're like, now I just have a reason to do what I was going to do anyways.
Right. And this time I watched it 3 times because I watched it a minute ago, and I was like, okay, because I watched it last night, and I watched it on the night it debuted. I mean, I was like having dinner with my wife, like enjoying like our nice date night thing, watching it on Thursday. So I know I missed half of it because I was shoveling food into my mouth.
Yeah, it's funny because I was talking earlier to my friend, and she was saying she was going to go home and watch TNG, and I was like, yeah, I'm watching Discovery right now. And then it was funny because she went on like a little rant of like why she tried to rewatch Discovery, and it was like, nah, not my thing. Like, just doesn't do it for her, you know? And it was funny. And it was like all valid reasons. Like, she's just like, I don't want it to be like the TV dramatics that the show is. She's like, I just kind of want it to be a little more sciencey and a little more just kind of slow, basically, without like someone crying every episode and shit like that, you know. Like she's like, I don't. She's like, honestly, I don't want to. I just want to see them doing their jobs, but I don't want to see them doing their jobs in like crisis mode all the time, right? You know, or whatever. Right. Like, so she's like, I want like all the Tuesdays.
But even the old Trek isn't like that. Now that being said, there's not like a lot of crying moments. In fact, those are few and far between. But like, none of them are ever like a like Tuesday.
Yeah, but this is also like Discovery is way more of a production.
Oh God, yes, yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I think like even in her view, she's like, I just want all that toned down. Like she's like just kind of like, I want the show, but like a simpler version of it, you know. And I'm like,
well, okay, let me ask you this. Does she watch Orville?
I don't know. I haven't jumped over to any other fucking Star Trek shit, you know?
Well,
like
in your conversation, in your conversations between now and next podcast, you should ask her, like, do you watch the Orville? And she says yes because it's just like TNG. Then I say she is wrong because unless I'm just way too emotional as a dad, that like I'm watching that last episode, and there wasn't one this week, but there was one last week where they find that time capsule. And, you know, from 2015. And I'm not sure if it was the couple glasses of wine that I had or if it was like just like the way he was.
Softened you up a little bit. You're like,
yeah.
Couple glasses of red got them feelings just waiting at the gates, ready
but
to
I'm
rock
like
and
watching,
roll.
I'm watching Gordon go through his whole thing, and like as it gets going, like the happiness and this, like I'm both sides of it. I'm just like welling up. I'm like, don't do it, you bastard! Right over the edge. I'm like, oh, son of a, there it goes. I was like, why am I crying? This is a great episode, and part of it, and I hate to say this because I'm putting all this in because it's been a decent conversation to start out. That part of my like emotion around the Orville doesn't come from the story he's telling me. It's the fact that that story is being told right now. Like the fact that Seth MacFarlane went to Fox and was like, hey, I'm funny Seth MacFarlane. I can make a spoof on Star Trek and it'll be great. And Discovery's coming out. And so, whatever. But then like he pulled a 180 and it's actually like a fantastic television show. And it is like TNG in certain ways, but it is more of emotional. And there is a larger production value, but not a massive amount more production. It's very like low key. There's not a whole bunch of like CGI and it's all normal sets. There's a little bit of here and there and like, the one guy who's a blob, but other than that, it's just good stories. And it's reminiscent of old Star Trek Next Generation type stuff. And it's like, I'm like getting emotional because it's so cool that it's on. And I don't know, just a big baby.
All right. Yeah.
Not denying it. I think I've cried like the last 3 episodes, just been like, man, this is just good. It's just good TV. I can't believe this is actually even a thing right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's Orville definitely packs more emotion into it than probably anyone expected. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Oh, completely. Yeah.
And they're great. They're great stories, and like it's a really good show. It's not just a fucking dumb slapsticky kind of space show. It's like funny people who can all act, and then kind of like dealing with actual real world shit, like the baby sex change things and stuff. And it's just kind of like kind of like that Star Trek used to do back in the old days. Yeah. And they do like a really good job of kind of trying as best they can to do a full circle point of view without it being like a total just like
slapping
left side or like right side hard point, you know what I'm saying? But it also, if it's like one of these things where it's just like, and I'm gonna say it, climate change. At this point, if you are just against it, like you're one of those people who were fucking throwing like sticks at Isaac Newton and people like that who are like, hey, gravity's real, and they're like, fuck you, magic, and it's like, what? Like, everyone agrees that that's real. Like, you're just dumb. That's all there is to it. Like, I don't care how educated you actually are. Inside, you're dumb.
Right.
Like, something somewhere stopped you from rationalizing this one very easy thing.
If by some chance you haven't already turned off the show because of what he just said, and you're willing to listen to just a tiny bit of reason and try to learn a little something, just go and look up the difference between climate and weather. Just go do that. That will help you out immensely when you come up with your stupid ideas. Boy, I wish we had some more of this climate change because it's really cold right now. Because there are certain people that say that shit Dude, for real.
Just go find like one of those Earth simulators and just change the temperature on it by like 10 degrees for fucking 100 years, and then just watch what happens. Like, if that right there, like, still doesn't make you go, all right, man, like a whole bunch of educated people put in a lot of effort. I can start to like be interested in this. If you can still look at something like that and just go, nah, that's a lie. Like, you're just problem. Like, anybody that is that hard on a no on almost anything is probably part of the problem. Like, that doesn't green light like pedophilia. Like, that's a hard fucking no all the time.
Hard no. Yeah, but why would you? Why there's a shirt I like that Philip DeFranco has on his store. It says, "Why be informed when you can use your feelings as facts, as your facts." I love that quote. When you started saying, I was like, that sounds exactly like exactly what it should be. So, yeah, it's that's like that and like flat earthers. The fact there's still like people like that out there.
I love the fact that I have been playing the Division 2, and for anybody that doesn't know what this is, it's a kind of present day game, and Washington D.C. has been overran. It's just wrecked, and there's like the last remaining, Wolverines left, and we're gonna save America and all that. But you can run around, and then they have like, of course, little like Easter eggs and shit all through the game. So I run up and I go buy this printer in this office building, and then there was an X on it. So I was like, "Oh, cool! I'm gonna like loot ink or some shit." And it actually
Xerox your butt.
Yeah, right. Like something dumb. Like, and then it actually printed something, and out came the printer, and I like looked at it, and it was a flat earther's diagram. And, like, I almost fell out of my fucking chair, dude. I was like, holy shit. I was like, I love when little code monkeys fucking just do shit like that.
There was some tweet I saw this week. I mean, I don't know if it was this week that it happened, but I think it was some major flat earther that said something to the effect of, flat earther theories are spreading around the whole world. And someone was like, one of the tweet comments was like, read that again real slow. I was like, that's great.
Fahuli, one of these streamers I follow, and I follow him on Twitter, somebody was talking about flat Earth, right? Mm-hmm. And he wrote one that was like, no, actually, it's when you, and he's being like sarcastic, right? This isn't his belief, but he's writing it like it's him. And we're really like in a Pac-Man like game. And when you go to the other side, you just kind of hit a wormhole and we don't realize it and it puts you through. And I read that and I was like, oh shit, dude, that's like a fucking hilarious joke. And there was more, tweets. So I like started scrolling down and he's like, nah, dude, this is a real like fucking theory. And I was like, oh shit, rabbit hole. Here the fuck I come. And I sat on that for like 2.5 hours just and it got so bad to the point where I was so into it. I was like, you know what, man? Like the world's weird. What if this was right? Like I was like, I was climbing over their wall and like, maybe I'm not coming back. Like, science don't know shit, man. Maybe science is wrong. Like, I was like, oh my God, this shit's so great.
Oh man, but you have to like science because Spock likes science.
Yeah, but it's just one of those. Like, I love when you can find a good conspiracy theory like that, where like it is so just beyond, but the way that the information has been presented and written is like almost well thought out enough that like if some mad scientist was smart enough, like there's your next great like comic or movie, you know what I'm saying? Like if someone could just somehow like formulate that, you're like, this is good reading. Just oh man, like I need a new chapter. Like explain another theory to me to why this is a real thing. Like give me more.
Nice. Oh, the internet holes that we fall down.
Yeah. Did you ever get sucked into that tranny video?
What? Why would you switch to that?
Because you said the rabbit holes we fall into. Oh,
man. No, please, go on. What?
Okay, so I think it was like meatspin.com was what the actual site was. Oh, God.
Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, and so basically it was a she-male riding a penis with an erection, but her erection was spinning in a circle with the song playing Spin Me Right Round, Baby. And the worst part is, so like, of course they would hide the link and you fucking send it to your buddy. And there was a timer on the fucking thing and it would like send you info back. Mm-hmm. So you could either like be over your buddy's shoulder and just kind of like, do the whole like camera through the crack thing and kind of like figure out how long they would get trapped in the fucking cock gaze spinning with the song playing. But it would shoot you a link back and then you could be like, yo, dude, you watched that video for 2 fucking minutes? Like, how many times can you listen to Spin Me Right Round with that penis just rotating around in your fit? Like, and people be like, no, I didn't. And then you would like just fucking screen cap them with the info sent back. You're like, yeah, you did, bud.
You did. Oh man, gay internet is a dark place.
Yeah, there's all like my fraternity, Lemon Party.
Don't ever start a story like that.
Like lemonparty.org was one that.
Don't tell people this stuff. Don't look at anything Corey is telling you guys to look at.
Everybody tried to hide the link and send, and that was like 3 elderly gentlemen just full on hardcore sex going on right there.
No, don't. Nope. Nobody look at anything he tells you. Anything on the internet. Stick to the last wormhole that I fell down on the internet. And that was the guy that plays Gordon on Orville singing. We talked about that last week. That's the wormhole that I went down most recently, and that was an okay wormhole.
Yeah, I'm trying to think, like, outside of the crazy conspiracy theory, I don't remember the last, like, wormhole I really had been on. Like, you've sent me some gross shit to the point where, like, I am now, like, I mean, honestly, I'm not sure, why I wasn't always just leery of your links. Like, I have grown to trust you so much, and you really hadn't sent me any fucking gross shit in too long that I didn't care anymore. But, like, I think it was like 2 in a row you nailed me with, and I was just like, I gotta, okay, man, if I see that Reddit link, like, I just gotta do is this gross, like, comment just immediately, like, back, because his humor and my humor on that shit is night and day. I'm like, and you're like, dude, I was in fucking tears laughing. I'm like, I almost threw up twice, man. Like, how did you make me, like, left it on loop for, like, 5? I'm like, how? Oh, my God, I barely got, like, half a second into it, and I'm like dying.
Part of my hilarity is your message response to me after you watch it.
Yeah, I know.
That's part of it.
That doesn't help either.
Like, I'm looking for the worst part is I wouldn't be doing that as much as I normally do, but my brother-in-law and I have gotten into like a battle of who can gross each other out the worst on messages, and I think I'm finally winning, but it took a lot. It took a whole bunch.
You're like I went to an area that I don't want to go back to, like, real soon. Like, I know it's there, and it's great for ammunition. Like, don't get me wrong. But it's a real rough crowd in there, and I don't want to get lost in there.
The worst part is I have to watch it first, so it's also burned into my memory as well.
Yeah, at that point, it just becomes, like, one of those, like, all right, if I'm going to suffer, someone else is going to suffer, and at least at that point, I'll get a little bit of laughter out of this so I can, like, offset the fucking evil that just crept into my body.
Well, that's why I send it to you most of the time.
Yeah. For
you, it's like, nope, I saw this. He must see this as well. Therefore, I have spread out the pain just a little bit.
It's like the fucking Ring, like just pass it on, like, and then you're okay.
Oh, yeah. So let's see what else. Not a great day for me. We're recording this on March 31st. Which is Sunday, so today was kind of a downer. My Wildcats, UK Wildcats, lost their chance to go to the Final Four, but to turn the day around just a little bit
of an uplift, like an hour later.
Duke also lost, so I was like, okay, so the day is going to go out on a good note, but good for Auburn because Auburn's never been there. Like I didn't realize, like I knew Barkley played for Auburn, so I thought maybe they had gone back when, in the late 80s, whenever he was in college. But apparently they didn't. Dude was, like, crying, like, in excited. He loves Auburn. Like, it wasn't just the school he went to. Like, he's all about them. And so when they came back from the thing, he was, like, in tears. And they were all, like, shaking his hand, making fun of him, but also, like, happy for him. And it was cool to see him like that. So it was an okay day. And honestly, we're both SEC teams. So if it's good that there's still an SEC team in the race. We'll see. So now it's Texas Tech, Auburn, Virginia, and Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State.
You can't, and I can't hate I can't get mad at Auburn because I like Bruce Pearl. He used to coach for Tennessee. That dude's just crazy. That coach is awesome. And then Tom Izzo for Michigan State. He's a good guy. Real passionate coaches.
I like yes. Yes, very passionate. There was a picture that Bleacher Report retweeted of, I'm pretty sure it was Tom Izzo, and it's like him talking to one of the kids, but he's not talking. He's fucking flat out like yelling, and he's like 6'8". But if you look at his hand, dude, his hand is clenched in a fist, and like when you read his fist and like translate the motion that is like his body is positioned in as he's yelling, like you go, man, if that dude didn't have like whatever wherewithal it is to like not do what his body is wanting to do, like
right.
That is I'm gonna fucking hit you, kid, if you ever do whatever it was that kid just did. Like, and like Bleacher Report was like emotions or whatever the fuck they said, but like dude, like that picture, I mean, he was about to just ring a haymaker on this boy.
All the feels. That's what it is. Like,
yeah.
It's like, kid, make sure you stare him directly in the eye and don't do anything that's going to piss him off while he is screaming at you. Just stand there and take it.
Well, see,
like,
that's
you'll be fine.
Yeah, like, well, that's like where you go. Like, I get the whole, getting in someone's face and shit. Like, that shit don't bother me, dude. Like, there are just certain people in this world that you can talk to cordially, and that's how it goes. And there's also people you can, like, talk to cordially, like me, who then later sometimes need someone to just kind of light a fire under their fucking ass. And most of the time that fire's kind of started by like someone telling me that I've been fucking up and I just am denying it. And it's like, oh yeah, well, I'm going to fucking prove you wrong then. Like, blah, 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 blah. But if no one would have ever jumped in my shit, I would have never got off my little fucking, hey, I ain't got to do anything kind of mode,
Your douchebag pedestal.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Yes. Nice. Yes. But what makes me like kind of laugh at this picture, right, is what is the confidence level of this coach? Like, okay, one, is he thinking he can actually like knock this kid out? Or does he think that he has instilled such a like authoritative like zone around him that even if he did hit the kid, like he just knows that the kid wouldn't do anything back, which I'm kind of like what false sense of like trust of like honeypot did you lay to like lure them into like just knowing that you could like cold clock one of them and they'll be like, oh, all right, I guess I fucked up, like, or that you've scared them so bad that someone that is literally a solid 10 inches and 100 pounds heavier than you is like, oh man, don't fuck with that guy. Like, what mind games have you been playing with these fucking dudes? Because every one of those old ass white coaches, man, if one of those college kids really decided to be like, nah, man, enough's enough, would just massacre every single one of them. Like, not like the smallest kid on the team would fuck that coach up. Like, they're all just so trained.
When you're playing for an elite coach, there's a lot of dollar signs that are standing around the other side of that guy, and that's a whole lot to be like, you can do whatever you want to me for this 1 to 4 years, get me in the NBA.
I get it. A lot of it is acceptance, but like I'm just saying, where like that posture is like crept into your head. Like I want to know how confident you are. Like what mental things did you lay out that you think that, nah, dude, if this does happen, like, I'm good. Like, because you got to think, if you're going to hit someone that's that bigger than you, like, I don't care how mad you are. Like, you have to then either know that somehow you're not going to get hurt, either by their retaliation or that you're just 100% all in on your fucking anger at this point. You're like, I don't give a shit, dude. It could be a fucking cement truck. I got this. Like, like where was he at on that? Like, I want to know, like, he's like, well, actually, man, I've been planning this one for about 3.5 years. Just slowly worked him down. I'm like, okay, give me your secrets. What do you got? What do you got over here?
Right. How do you instill that fear and know that they're not going to cold clock you? So true. So true. So I want to call something right now. We'll start talking about Star Trek now. I guess this show is supposed to be about it. So because of how, like, dialed in CBS is with the fact that they put something Star Trek on, this is a great production, it's going to bring in watchers and stuff. There's a lot of talk online. People want a Captain Pike Star Trek show, and I'm not saying it's going to happen next year or anything, but there's about 6 years between events right now and the incident that he gets injured in. And if you did an entire show of, 3 or 4 or 5 seasons of just him on the Enterprise doing his thing, that would be. And then when Kirk takes over and he gets relieved and goes and works wherever he does that gets injured, like that would be a great chunk of stories to tell, and you already have most of the sets. Really. I mean, when you just film when Discovery's not filming, you know what I'm saying? People are wanting it. There's a lot of talk about it. I think I mentioned it last week. He's my second favorite captain. And we have seen him for all of 11 episodes. Yeah. I just like the character he's playing. He does a good job, and I just want to call it now so I have it on record that when the Pike show happens.
The Pike show.
It's going to be awesome. and literally, I mean, because Anson Mount, while a great actor, he's not,
say something bad about him, I dare you.
No, I'm not. I mean, just what I'm saying is, he's not, what's the last thing he was in that
Hell on Wheels.
Hell on Wheels, right? Which was...
And then I think he was in a couple, guest spots, where he was here's the show and Anson Mount for,
right.
A couple weeks or some shit like that.
Guest starring some
that
kind of stuff.
Whatever. But yeah, I mean, he was on Hell on Wheels for 7 seasons, 6 seasons, some shit like that.
There you go. So see, we could pull him in for, he's not above TV. Because honestly, when they had the guy that played Lorca last year, I'm like, well, you're a big movie star. You're Harry Potter type stuff, man. You're a
Which
big
is
name.
Funny because you're he's a big movie star, and I'm like,
what's his name?
What the fuck's he really ever done?
He's been Draco Malfoy's dad, man.
Really? That's the fucking hat you're gonna pin your shit on? Really? Oh, dude, I was the guy that was a bitch in the background, for a couple movies. That doesn't make you a big time movie star.
Well, but he was a big name, though. It was a big draw to have him, and.
But I'm saying, how is that above TV though? I mean, what if he's such a big movie star, what is his big movie? Because I feel if he was that good, I would know the movie.
What, the guy that played Lorca?
Yeah, or is it just he's he's been in some TV and he's kind of good and I liked him here and everybody kind of just likes him but I'm trying to equate why he's above where his station was on the show. I don't really think he's that big of a pool that you think.
Okay. Then just kill my entire friggin' plan.
I want to know. I want to be proven wrong. I'm because I don't know what other shit that guy's really ever done that where I'm oh, damn, yeah, that's right. He was the fucking main dude on this
He was the
thing.
big bad. He was, before we keep saying the dude, Jason Isaacs, he was the big bad in The Patriot. He was the big bad guy in The Patriot back in 2000 with Mel Gibson.
Okay.
He's in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, is it just because he is in a lot of shit, he was always kind of that guy in the movie, but not really ever the main dude in the movie. In The Patriot, he's the bad guy and you fucking hate him and you're damn dude, you were a really good bad guy, but he's also probably a total of maybe 20 minutes of screen time. Because he kills a little kid, rides the fuck off, kills a teenager, rides the fuck off, and then
giant battle scene at the end gets stabbed by an American flag.
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah, well, okay. So, but even at that point,
I get what you're saying. He's a good actor and he's been in a bunch of shit. I just was trying to think, what movie is it that was oh damn, we snagged that motherfucker? Oh shit.
Well, like I said, playing Lucius Malfoy would be a big thing, but that's just me. Because I mean, it's kind of you have a little bit of carryover when it comes to nerdness. When it becomes Star Trek, Harry Potter, it kind of run in the same circles. So
okay. I mean, I'm just I would if they would have pulled
Jason Isaacs was in Event Horizon, which is one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah. I remember that. And even then, he's a secondary dude in that one too.
He never. Yeah, you're right. He's never starred in something where you're oh yeah, that's the guy who starred in this.
You're I would say if they would have got Ralph Fiennes or Fiennes, however you say his last name.
Sure, good luck.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's when your comment of I mean, he's above TV. If they would have pulled him, if we're gonna just go snag someone from the Harry Potter cast, I'd be oh shit, yeah, you're fucking right. What stock shares did they give this man, on the side to get him in there?
Right. Well, and honestly, I would argue that Michelle Yeoh is a bigger movie star than Jason Isaacs is, with her Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, all of her movies that she's been in.
Just, I would agree with that too. Yeah, I mean, especially if we're looking at like billing credits, I would argue that she probably has more like titled billing credits than him.
Agreed. Yeah. All I'm saying is they could pull at this whole conversation is they could pull Anson Mount to do a TV show for 3 to 5 seasons of Pike on the Enterprise. You know, when he goes back.
Easily.
You could literally start the show. And honestly, they could pull Rebecca Romijn, too, because, you know, I haven't seen her in a whole bunch recently, so it's not like she's, you know, not available.
Well, you could say it's not like she's acting. I mean, she just may have a fuck ton of money and go, I run 4 charity organizations, you know, or whatever.
True.
True. I want to get to that point in any career, like, right, where you're just like the quote unquote subject matter expert on like whatever it is, acting, IT, blah, 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 like podcasting, like I don't give a shit, where you've just like, that doesn't even need to be your like bread and butter. Like, you know, like video game streamers, like they started out, say, just playing this game. And then I'm not even talking about branching out to other games, but like sometimes they just get on the mic for 8 hours and they're like, all right, man, we're going to go fucking kind of half watch the Goonies and talk about this YouTube video for the next fucking 7.5 hours. And like, that's what they do. And it's just like, man, it's nice to know that you have like that many subs or whatever income supplied or endorsements that you can now just go, I know that no matter what, when I hit this blah, 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 it's just there. Like you would have to just really do something really bad and really wrong to like fuck your source of income up at that point in time, right? You know?
Right. Nice.
The dream.
Yeah, it'd be nice to be there.
Yeah, like if we're talking dreams, you know? Dreams. Okay,
all right, so Perpetual Infinity. Yeah, we can't stop the podcast now. We should probably talk about the show a little bit. So,
did you even like it?
After watching it 3 times, I did. I liked it more and more as I watched it. I think when it first finished, and I like let myself down off the hype because the ending is pretty. The ending like 10 minutes is pretty sick. Like you get the Michelle Yeoh fighting, so that's awesome. That's always awesome. And then you know you get some good like teaser type stuff, but also like some good like final stuff with her mom that like is, you know, some you know, heartfelt stuff, because for a while there she was being cold, like real cold to her daughter. And I was like,
ruthless shit. That's, you know, but then it's kind of funny because it's like what she did to Spock, and then like what Spock kind of did back to her to like, and then it's like, oh, hey, like, you know, here's your like tree, there's your apple, you know, like, I mean, because even like she called it out and she's like, so stubborn. It's like, where do you think I got it from? Like, I just,
I love after, you know, like 5 minutes of not talking to somebody for 20 years, not talking to your mom for 20 years, you automatically become the teenager that you didn't get to be in front of her.
Yeah. I don't, man, that's a weird thing too, right there. Like, you know, ignoring the time travel element of the whole thing, but like, you know, what if you grew up like thinking your mom or dad died and they came back from some fucking island, you know, like plane crash, like someone finally found them and they survived, you know, it's like, I know the person you were, you know who the fuck that is when they come back and all that shit. Like, that's just man, that's fucking sucks. And then it's got to be even more fucking ruthless when your mom's like, I've watched you die 100 times. I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I've fucking just, I'm numb to everything. Yeah. You know, like, just go the fuck away. Like, if you're not going to do what I need you to do at this point, I don't care. Because I'm going to probably replay one of these sequences all over again until my body finally dies in this suit.
You know? Right. She alludes to the fact that she's had that conversation with her before. So before to her could be years down the road in Michael's future, which is like, we've done this too many times for me to like get all emotional about it again. You know, that's how she comes off initially. And it's like, man, because you have been doing this a lot. Like 849 times, or the mission logs on the thing of when she jumped. Part of me So I guess my first question is, did you even... I don't know if they harped on it enough last episode that they were containing her for only a finite amount of time. I thought they were just catching her for good. Like they had mentioned like the rubber band and how the suit gets back, but the last episode, I thought they were like, okay, we got her and we're good. Like she's in our timeline now, and I thought she would just be added to the crew and be that sort of like, no, like the whole Newton's Law shit.
I always, not that I'm trying to sound smart, because the Newton's Law shit was not something that like ever crossed my mind. I just kind of never expected her to stay, because I was like, even in my head, I was like, yeah, as soon as they lower the thing and like weird time jumps thing, she'll just turn to dust or some shit, like I was like, she just won't be there. Okay. So like, I never thought she was going to be there. And the rubber band thing kind of popped in my head. And I think when I realized that the force field was staying up and it wasn't like oh, hey, we got this honor to like protect her while she was healing or some shit, like, or we think she's going to go mad and it's a jail. No, it was like, hey, if we turn this off, like
she sucks right back,
goes back, like once I realized that it was a barrier shield, I was like, okay, she's definitely not ever staying. And I know last episode they kind of brought on it, but yeah, it was never really like to the red alert level this episode just kind of seemed to hop right on into.
Well, yeah, and not to mention, so you couldn't go in there to talk to her, yet Burnham was in there when she arrived, dying and then being, brought back to life. So that was glanced over. And I understand, I hate picking out stuff like this, but like, so she couldn't go in there and talk to her mom. She had to stay outside the field, yet they, I guess the initial field was just the lasers that held the suit down, and then they made a dome. I don't know, whatever. But there's a few, as sciencey as this show gets, there's times where they're like, and we're just going to hope we're going to gloss over that part. Like, that's a little bit of a loop. We're not going to worry about that because guess what, guys? It's just television. Yeah, I know. But you guys are the ones that take it all sciencey and don't make up words. You guys use real shit. So I can't. It's hard for me not to pick out something here or there with your accepted reality that's going on there. So she's on the other side. She can't even hug her mom or anything. But they literally were sitting right there with each other.
That's why I love that I watch TV with rose-colored glasses on, because I don't even notice shit like that. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, nope. I have now accepted the fact that video games, movies, TV, books will always be a rare exception to me, because I never know what to expect with a book. Mm-hmm. Any book I buy. Even if it's like a character series, like, all right, I know there's going to be this type of action and some cool shit's going down, but I don't ever know any of the stuff. Like, very rarely when I read a book do I go, yeah, I know where you're going with this. Like, and even when I do that, I've pretty much always been wrong, or there's been something in there where I went, ooh, I did not fucking see that. Man, that was awesome, right?
Right.
But all the other forms of entertainment, I've just now gone, I'm just going to take it for, what it is. I don't even try to look for the except, now, when my video games glitch out, I don't even get fucking mad, dude. I just laugh my ass off, because I'm like, the guy's fucking stuck in a wall, and his foot's, through his mouth. What the fuck's going on, right? Before, that shit would just, those type of things, where I was like, whoa, what the fuck, man? How'd you get out of the stasis field? Or whatever they're calling it, right? I'd be like, it would drive me insane, because I'd be like, no one fucking caught this. Oh my God. And then, you spend half a day trying to make a fucking banner for your podcast. And you go, oh man, there's a lot of work that goes into a lot of this shit, dude. Fuck that, man. You know what? Continuity guy, good on you. You got 99.9, man. That's not even that bad.
Right.
Half the time I think they do shit like that because they know there's people out there that look for that kind of crap, and they go, all right, we're gonna put it there just so you have a bad day now. If that's what you're really gonna take away from this whole fucking show, you know. Not saying you're doing that.
Well, I hadn't really
saying
thought
for the
about
other
it until,
negative
like,
assholes out there.
No, but true. But I actually hadn't really thought about it until we sat down and started talking about it here. It came to me. I was like, so that, and as you're talking, I'm like, well, maybe they just kept, it didn't have to be a dome and it was just around her in the suit and not Burnham. And then they moved her and then it became, a nice dome for her to hang out in while she got better. Yeah. But then how'd they get her in the chair? Did they go in?
When I was thinking about it, it was like, I thought maybe they, had him, her in those beams of light or whatever, probably got Michael out. But then you're right, like, did they have another suit that could then walk through the containment field to, like...
They probably just let her lay there until she woke up.
Get her out of her suit? No, they had her all,
like... Yeah, they had stuff on her. They had, like, when they showed the fit...
Like,
yeah, so
now,
I don't know.
Like, you're talking, like, I could see how they got Burnham out. Like, the suit was just hooked with beams or whatever, and, like, someone darted in real quick and, say, slid her out. And then once they pulled it down... the field went up, because I would imagine that's what you do. Like, I don't know, can't think of a reason why you would just keep the beams focused on the thing, right? Mm-hmm. So then I was like, okay, Burnham solved, at least in a rational kind of way. But then I was like, right, how did they get her out of the suit now? Like, who put the respirator thing on her? Like, who's taking the vital signs? Like, do they have a secondary suit that's like able to walk through that, or did they just like go, okay? We sent enough power down to the thing, we can drop the shield for 10 seconds, like, do what you can kind of thing. Because the way they made that, like, because they seem to base the rubber banding effect on the power to the shield. So, like, it seemed to me that even if they had infinite power, right, to, like, say, counter it, if anybody at any time, like, pushed the red button to stop it, that rubber band would be like, peace, bitches, and, like, shoot right back out.
That's exactly what would have happened, right?
So, yeah, so the only way, like, you could get through that is, like, those crazy high-wire walking motherfuckers that wear those electric metal suits and let that shit just transfer through you, Like, now you...
Sorry, I messed it all up for you.
No, dude, now you got me kind of wondering. I'm like, oh, man. Now I want to know about the other, like, walkie through suit. Like, that's where I kind of like, no.
Yeah, why did they put her in it so she'd go hug her mama just once, damn it?
Yeah, right? Or like, yeah, could you just like get through it and then hop out of the suit if the shield's up, Like, you tell me you guys could, whatever. Yeah.
Well, while we're still on her and her as the Red Angel, how do you explain that she watched Burnham's graduation, she watched her with Spock learn the stuff, she talked about how she had visited her throughout her life to see the important events,
804 mission jumps, and I mean,
but never once has she arrived in a location and not been visible to everyone there. You know what I'm saying? Like, when she shows up, you see you see her. It's like, where were you sitting? Were you like hiding somewhere in the suit? Does it have cloaking technology? Like, what is it?
Yeah, but didn't they kind of like explain that away in the episode? Because when they were talking about the red dot, like the red markers,
bursts,
she's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Like, I have nothing to do with that. Because the way she had kind of been talking was that she has just been freely moving in and out of time anywhere she wants, trying to stop this fucking thing. Mm-hmm. And quite honestly, she could be talking about, like, and this is where you get into like goofy ass parallel timelines, right? Because she's still like, I've seen you die 1,000 times. So what are we talking? Like, she went back and say one time she visited young Michael and was like, I'm gonna go check this shit out, and then tried to stop the thing. Like, I don't know. It's like, she's like, let me ride this timeline out. So she kind of was just hidden in the background for this shit to see what it was, or she just knew that she could go do those kind of things because the AI was going to do what it was going to do, and some of those jumps were just her dodging the AI so she could be part of her kid's life, because she did say she spent a little bit of time trying to get them back.
Right. And yeah, I feel like the way it was explained, that the rubber band motion was an optional item, because it's not like when you jumped from Doctari Alpha, when she jumped from there, she's not tethered back to that spot right when the Klingons bursted in. She jumped and there she is at 950 years in the future, and she's there. She's not tethered anywhere. I think the tether is an optional thing, and they just happened to catch her using the way she's coming in and out right now for the things she's doing to help Michael. She's using the tether so she can come back. I'm with you. I think she can jump wherever she wants to, but she has to be careful because in case Control can snatch her up and then end it all. Because she ends up.
I think the rubber band thing is more of like they figured out that the randomness of it was Michael, and so far we all know that was the bait, right? So I don't think every other time she was jumping to like go try to do something to stop the AI, because like it's not like she was just like, okay, I'm gonna go back to this date and then be on Michael's timeline. Like she was gonna go follow Carl with 7-level clearance to this fucking facility where they think the first chip was manufactured, right? You know, like she's gonna go off and do all of that other shit all the time. So yeah, I think the whole like when they realized that it was Michael thing, those were just like her popping in to be like, God damn it, you know,
stop killing my daughter.
This is the one timeline where I got the dominoes falling right. Like you can't die. Like whatever she's leading up to, you know, like, and it was like boom. And then they were like, oh, we got you. But yeah, she was trying to get back out to go continue to do whatever the fuck it is she was doing.
Right. She was just jumping in, blasting her, and then leaving.
Or were they saying that when she was doing the jumps now, that the AI, it's essentially tracking her, doing that? Like, that's what allowed it to jump through? Because when she made the hole and like they were like, oh, that thing came back from the fucking future all super advanced and blah, blah, blah. That's because it was following her. Like when she made a wormhole, that was allowed the AI from the future to fucking follow back. And so I'm wondering is because she's like the terminology that Giorgio caught on to, the unacceptable outlier or whatever the fuck it was.
Right.
If that is like causing the rubber bandy effect too, you know? Or did they just kind of fuck up and go, yeah, it's the rubber band effect and this is time and you know, like she said, time's the thing, it's gravity, it's this, it's that, it's blah, blah, blah. It's not all of these these things aren't individual. They are what make time, you know, kind of thing. Like we've all been looking at it all wrong.
Yeah, well, this episode with us being revealed, the Red Angel last episode, and now getting to dig into that, I'm with you. There's a lot less that a light was shined on than we were expecting. I was like, oh, cool, we're gonna get to know a whole bunch of stuff, and then we're gonna round out this year, this season with a whole bunch of stuff.
That kind of, you know, bothered my buddy. Like she was like, you know, Saru's episode. Like you could have just fucking done that so much more on the evolution, you know. And I was like, well, my comment back was like, well, how are you gonna pack in literally centuries of evolution in an hour episode? You know, and she's like, you could have done it in like 20, you know, like she's like, if you really wanted to, there's easy ways just to show it, you know what I'm saying, through like videos on the screen or blah, 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 you know, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. You know, I mean, I get it. Like, so I wish some of the sciencey stuff, you're right. Like, it's almost like if you're going to do it, like, then you guys got to do it. Like, you can't, I get it if you're going to non-sciencey say this part of the thing. Of like this section of like something on the ship or whatever, you know, you're like, that doesn't make sense, but cool, we got it. But like when it's the thing that's kind of like the core element to the show and you're doing stuff like that's the one thing you really should be on, you know, or the show's just so goddamn good that I don't catch everything and it's just actually all beyond me and I will never be there with it.
Right. And yeah, I think if we had learned more and it didn't open up, because we didn't really learn that much this episode, which I think is probably why when you asked me, did I like it? I'm like, I don't know. It had cool parts, but I'm I'm not really that much further along than I was at the end of last episode.
Yeah, right. Like it's like you got to see someone go to bed angry when the episode ended.
Mhm.
And you're like, you don't know what you kind of know what the fight was about, but then you just woke up in the middle like of the fight. Like you're
Right.
like, what happened? Like, I mean, I know you went to bed mad, but like it's not like Carl called you like the worst thing ever. So like, what else happened that led up to this confrontation you guys are in?
And here's where I think, if we're gonna call it a problem, is this is yet another in just this season of a countdown episode where there is a finite amount of time before something bad happens. So what that immediately does to the writing and to the script is it makes it almost like an episode of 24, like where it's just like it's this has to happen before an hour is up. You know what I'm saying? Saru, when they find out that time is pulling her and they're fighting against the universe and on holding onto her, they're like, we have an hour, maybe two. And at that point, we haven't really learned that much. And now it's like, now we're in solve mode as opposed to learn mode. We're not learning now. Now we're done learning, and we have to now solve this problem, which is cool. And I like how they did it. But when it comes to the overarching story, you're telling me all you did was give me more questions, and I'm like, we have 4 episodes left. Like, you got to wrap this shit up. Let's go. Like, we have 4 episodes, so no more time, because you could take more time and tell more of the story over the hour if you could have the ability for people to change between scenes and go into further time. Wait, I was expecting it to be like this episode to be, they have her, the mom, and she's cool, and she's walking around the ship, and her and Burnham are doing their like mother-daughter thing, and they're learning about the suit. But no, it was all like confined. You can't, no, you can't touch. No touchy. Mm-hmm. And you get, they're all speculating shit, and then it was a timer, and then it was over, and you're like, well, okay.
Yeah, I think
now
unfortunately, that is just a circumstance of when you bring time as the core element to the main storyline. Like, everything, as soon as you say time, is going to be put on a timer, even if, like, you're quote-unquote doing one of those, like, infinite movies, because at a certain point, you're like, he's got to figure the fucking shit out. Like, we're just not going to sit here in this loop forever. Or it's going to be like that dick of a movie, and it just ends, like, in the loop, and you go, all right, so I watched a fucking hamster in a wheel for an hour and a half. Okay. But right. Like this, I mean, like this show, is not going to do that. Cause like everybody and their mother would just banana the fuck right off the edge of super fandom, and this show would be done in like a matter of moments if something like that happened. Yeah. Like I mean, like think about it. Like if they ran this season out, and they just kind of like stopped the time loop for like, and then just were like, hey, we're gonna pick it up in season 3. Like, oh my god, there'd be fucking sheer insanity happening. Like you can't do that with the way they've made this season go. And when they threw that time thing in there, and then they made it like, because they immediately, when they threw time in, you're like, okay, you can do this as a once-off. Right? Like someone just helps someone and then it's rewritten and you go about your business. Or you do the loop, but then they made it a race. They're like, oh yeah. Here's the time, but there's also going to be that guy over there chasing the time.
Well, so now you just brought up another point. Not only did this episode have its standard countdown where it's like, we have 2 hours before this happens. Inside that countdown, you had how much data is Leland going to get. So you have this happening double. So it literally, the last 20 minutes is so hectic and cool eyeball candy, but it's like, we're not learning anything. We don't know shit still, and we are 11 episodes into this shit.
Yeah, like this, maybe this is that action episode where, like everything's just, they're like, you know what, this is going to be the boiling point episode where all this shit's just going to come down and we're going to make everything happen, and everyone's going to kind of be like, WTF, man, like I'm here, you got 4 left, I'm going to fucking write it out, it, so what are you going to do? And then you have that follow-up, like, almost uber nerd episode where it's just all of them talking about everything, kind of like not just around the table, but everybody seems to always be interacting with each other as they're just going about to get to the next problem, and like they just unload all of the information. Like Stamets comes in and he's like, all right, this is what we know. You know, security officer comes in and goes, this is what we know.
Right.
You know, then Michael walks in and go, well, here's how my day is, and this is what I know, and here's what I'm feeling about it. Spock walks in and like looks at her and goes, oh, we're on that emotion train. Jesus Christ. Here's what I know. Sorry, all my sixes are backwards. You know, like, we're good.
Nice way to slip the dyslexic joke in there. That's good.
Well, because they did it in the fucking show, man. Like, he was like, I tried to hide my, like, you know, and I know it was to the show, the like, hey, dude, your human side's not a bad thing. Like, stop treating it. Like, stop saying you're human like it's a bad word. Like, you know. Especially
since the Red Angel pretty much tells her he's the only one that can help her save the world because of exactly what he is. This episode. Yeah, he got his little, like, accept what you are and deal with it.
You know,
she got 1980s dad talked him. Like, hey, just take your shit and just put it in a box. Just stick it. Just deal with it. All right.
Yeah. Kick it under your bed. Don't ever fucking look at it again. And when you move away, just leave all the shit right there.
Leave it there. See, we take our feelings. We put this little box. We put this box in the back. We never look at it again.
Yeah, man. I mean, dude, I'm all for expressing yourself and getting to figure yourself out. But there is just certain shit where it's just like, nope, that bridge, no matter how good that little shiny thing may seem on the other side, just burn it, take that memory, burn it, put it in that box, burn it, put it in another fucking box, and then throw that motherfucker away in the back and just let it go.
Right. Okay, so let's see. We've talked a little bit about Red Angel. Let's talk about Leland and Control. So we saw him get jabbed in the eye last week. And
I thought they were going to make like the Borgs. Like I thought the Borgs were going to be a thing.
And that's my first thing that I wanted to bring up. Okay, so I've looked over some reviews. I've done some reading on the topic. Unless it's something different and they change it in the timeline and make it this way, Q, who first introduced all of the Trek universe to the Borg in season 2 of The Next Generation, when they ask how long they've been around, the Borg were doing stuff in the Delta Quadrant back in like our 14th century. Like when we were still wheeling around on horse carts and shit, like building castles and storming castles and shit. So according to Q and that, you know, the current timeline, they've been around forever. So this Control is not the creation of the Borg. That being said, nothing says they couldn't do it where, like, whatever this is gets sent back to the 14th century. But that's like, just...
I was going to say, honestly, when they've now thrown in time and they've thrown AI and then the weird, like, slash half thingamabobs we got going on with the Borgs and other stuff, like, and they're... Dude, they could have hit that motherfucker back through the time loop and said, hey, man, when you hit 1400 BC, wake up. You know, like, and then...
Right. AD, but yes.
Start your shit in the fucking sky, you know, like, whatever.
Right. Yeah, so that right now, as it looks, that's not the origin of the Borg. That being said, when Leland's in his like harness at the beginning of the episode and he's being talked to by different like Control is appearing in hologram form as like Burnham and Pike and Saru and then himself at the end. When the hologram becomes himself, it says struggle is pointless because, you know, Leland's trying to you can't do this to me, I'm my own man, that kind of crap. Like struggle is pointless is literally rewriting resistance is futile, which is what the Borg. Yeah, so it's like because they put that in there, and like, are you doing that? Are you going to send this thing? Are you going to try to send AI somewhere, and it's going to end up going back in time? You know, you're right. There's so many now that we've put time travel in this. It's like they could do whatever they want to now. So
yeah, I mean, really, yeah, like that. And I think probably from when all of the, say, head honchos of this thing sat down, and they were pitching ideas around of like, what the fuck we're going to do with this, right? And they're like, well, look, man, we got a ton of shit that has already been happening, but we got gaps. Like, how do you fill fucking gaps? You know, and stuff like that. Or we have that, you know, this series made this thing and we don't got a whole lot of other shit going on. We don't know much about it.
Right.
But they're like, we want to talk about it because, like, fucking Timmy really likes that shit. So some genius in the back went, time travel, homies. We'll just take some fucking T-1000 robot. Like the Avatar dude has already done most of the work for us, guys. Like, we just got to get them to the point of why they're doing what they're doing. And then literally, once they got to the whole time travel point open, like, he goes, want the Borgs? I don't know, man, fucking inject that guy with some robots, like nanobites, whatever, dude. And then we can send him back in time later. But that seed's planted. Cool. You want to go see some blue guys that no one's ever fucking seen or some shit? Yeah, go off this way. We'll bring them in. You know, like, I think from a creative standpoint, if you were going to try to essentially kind of do a Marvel-esque thing and pull in all of these different creative standpoints, like...
Well, it would be poetic justice for humanity to have created the Borg on accident, to have it then, hundreds of years down the road, you know, if they stave off this annihilation of all human life, and they find a way to send what could be the Borg into the Delta Quadrant, into the past, into the whatever, and then it's still, you know, a couple hundred years down the road, or I guess 100 years down the road, something like that, there's a giant war between, you know, the Alpha Quadrant and the Borg, you know, where there's a whole lot of people that get killed, but not like a wipeout of humanity type thing. It would be kind of poetic for that to be a thing. That being said, I don't know if I need... The best part about the Borg was that we don't know their origin. Like, we have never known their origin. We know they've been around forever, and that all they do is just assimilate. They just come upon a planet, they go down and just slow walk Michael Myers, just get everybody. You get got. Everybody on that planet, and they get made into Borg, and then they have more Borg, and then it keeps going, and it's like just a never-ending machine. It's one hive mind. There isn't any of them that they all get fed information and fed what they do from one central one. They're all a hive mind.
Yep, kind of just like control.
Well, speaking of hive minds,
because that's what the AI points out. He's like, hey, by the way, everybody in your fucking fleet does whatever control says without argument, and even the ones that will be resisting me won't even know they're working for me at a certain point. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, and then, you know, just to stay on the Borg train here for a moment, like, an even better way to do that, like, for sentient life and to keep your shit going is to just go make a basically unstoppable version of a you know, like, you find the machine that know how to fucking make toast or bread into toast. Like, you go just send it down and it fucking grabs it all and then turns it into fucking toast, and you keep moving. Like,
right.
The AI don't got to do shit after that. And then it can drop them off at any points in time and blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying, like, if they ever wanted to make the connection, opening up time travel is the smartest way to do it.
True. That being said, they also at the end of the fight, the time crystal that she's got is destroyed. So she gets sucked back 950 years into the future, and now she can't go anywhere. Dr. Burnham can't.
Yeah, I wish they would say, like, man, we have no more TC. Like, stop calling it the time crystal. Like, yes, like, just don't say time crystal. Like, just we know what it is. So at this point, someone had to have made slang for that word. Because somebody cool somewhere, an influencer, was like, yo, time crystals, you guys really want to be saying that all the fucking time? Like, it's kind of dumb, right? Like, it's stupid. We shouldn't do this. Yeah. I really, because the worst part is she's like crying. And she's like, we have no time crystal.
Yeah, I feel like there's not a whole bunch of them running around. So,
well, yeah, I get that, but it's you can't be emotional and say time crystal. Like, how does everyone not just giggle at that point? Like, like I have a gravity crystal, I have a lemonade crystal, I have an apple crystal. Like, it's just dumb. Like, you just can't put the word, like, whoever made that joke on whatever fucking show or movie it was, like, you just can't put the word time in front of anything and make it cool. Like, it's just not how it fucking works.
Right. Hey, it was Tilly who did that. She can do whatever she wants to.
Yeah, but I'm also positive that Tilly joke is a repeat of, like, just a general joke in general. General, since I've said it a bunch already.
Right.
All I'm saying is there was not an original thought from me. Yeah, I know. I was about to ask you, man. Like, I'm watching you go, like, squinty reading eye, like, whatever you're focused on. And I'm like, what are you trying to figure out over there, man?
Well, I wanted to shout out to somebody a listener who listened to our, at Micah Coletti, on Twitter. He reached out to, he tagged us in an article that was talking about how that time crystals are actually a real thing, and that some scientists I read the article, but at Berkeley, were able to make time crystals, it's an interesting article, and I was like,
okay, well, the too long didn't read. What did it come out to? They've made time crystals, so what the fuck is a time crystal? Like,
time crystal. Okay,
crystal you put in a sundial.
Let me read to you at least the part that makes a little bit of sense to me, because a lot of this, I will admit freely, that a lot of this article made zero sense to my non-scientific self because it's like a just report, and I'm like, I don't even know what this means. Okay. Gotcha. So what should I read? Hold on. Let me now. Okay. So here, I'm going to read a few spots of this just to try to help this. A time crystal breaks time symmetry. In this particular case, the magnetic field and laser periodically driving the ytterbium atoms produce a repetition in the system at twice the period of the drivers, something that would not occur in a normal system. And then they say, time crystals repeat in time because they are kicked periodically, sort of like tapping Jell-O repeatedly to get it to jiggle. The big breakthrough is less that these particular crystals repeat in time than they are the first of a large class of new materials that are intrinsically out of equilibrium, unable to settle down to the motionless equilibrium of, for example, a diamond or a ruby.
Okay.
So they're just a little bit more excited. I don't know. But it was cool. And it was funny because he tagged us in it, and I was like, I know exactly why you tagged us in this article, because we ranted about time crystals so much last episode. But yeah, it was, as I know you're going to say, why, even if they are a real thing, why call it a time crystal? Yeah, like, that's just, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, it's just a dumb name for something so fucking cool, right? Like, okay, even if you want a time crystal, then, like, call it TC, man. Like, we have no TC. Like, that sound, like, crying and saying we have no TC sounds better than we have no time crystal. Like, it's just too many syllables, like, for a word that you're gonna use urgently, it seems like, all the fucking time. Right. True. Also on the stuff with the Red Angel is the sphere data that they finally deleted, which, to be honest with you, the little meeting in that room where they were discussing about deleting it, I give both Burnham and Saru credit for, at the end, following his orders and being like, okay, that's your orders, sir, we're deleting this thing. Like, I was waiting for them to give more of a, like, because those two have been mutinous in the past, and I was like, no, this is really good information we probably shouldn't get rid of. But at the end, they broke down. You could just see that they are starting to trust him more and accept him as the captain that he is, and as fucking awesome as he is. But he's like, hey, look, we got to do this. It saves all of humanity, so erase that stuff. Yeah, but this one's also like, I mean, even though
they've gone, against the captain's orders like a lot.
Right.
It's always been one of those scenarios where, if it's like when your old man gives you like advice and goes, hey man, sometimes it's just better to do what you know is right and then ask for forgiveness instead of permission.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it right. And even if they're mad about you doing it because it was done right, like it doesn't matter. You're fine. And they've always kind of been those situations. It's never like, oh, I need to follow my captain's orders. It was always like, yeah, but if I do that, then like 80% of this shit over here dies. Like he doesn't know that yet because not all the information's been relayed or whatever, Right. Like this one was kind of one of those things where it's like he's given the order and there's no real like other argument per se. It's like, yeah, dude, you can chalk it up to some fucking library that we already lost. And, yeah, we miss a lot of information, but Earth still seems to be trending upward for the most part. Like, we got to fix a few things, but we're still moving along. Like,
things worked out in the end.
We'll be okay, kind of thing. Like, or everyone dies. Like, that was it, It's just like, yeah, just fucking get rid of it. Do what we need to do. Like,
yep.
And I think at that point, you go, even for the greater good, like, you go, how much of the greater good do I, like, I know you care about it, but a lot of that, like, wanting to keep it is, like, the hoarder selfish mentality, like, well, I'm not going to get all this information then. And it's like, you were really going to read all of that information, you know what I'm saying? Like, how much were you really going to get out of it? Probably what you've already read. Like, whatever you've already looked in, that massive thing that was only, like, 8% downloaded was still more than anything you guys have ever had, right? So it's just like, you're not really losing. You're just winning by a little bit less, right?
Right. And all of this argument for not, because the data doesn't let itself get erased, which is scary in its own part. Like, you have all this data on your ship. You're the only ship holding it, at least at that moment. And as you start to erase it, it stops you from doing that. And you're like, oh. It's like, this is not good when it comes to like computer security. If you have something that won't let you go after it, then it's leading it more to like Discovery is going to be the good AI. Like the good, it's going to be self-realized, and then Control's going to be the bad, and it's going to be, that will be the battle between the Discovery, or the Discovery will learn.
Well, that's why they, you know what, you're fucking right. You probably just nailed it, because remember you're talking about the episode where the Discovery's just shot the fuck out there, and it's like, I'm waiting.
Right.
There you go. Like, it didn't delete itself. It's self-aware. It's basically waiting for the AI to start its shit.
Mm-hmm.
So, or whatever its like end game is for like whatever the humans thought was going to play out. Like, that ship is now waiting for whatever this AI's end game is. Like, there it is. Like, you've probably just said, yes, we have AI that was raised right, and then AI that was raised wrong, and one was fed nothing but porn and murderous images, and one was fed nothing but like
puppies,
people helping people and all of the good shit that humans have done. And it's like, why would we get rid of this? And the other one's like, dude, have you not been to 4chan? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And it's like, 4chan, what's that?
Yeah, right.
I have parental locks on my browser.
Yeah, at some point, and what bothers me only partially is if the title of this show is speaking to the ship, then when is that going to actually happen? Because can you have or is the title of this show talking about the act of discovering, because of how what does Star Trek Discovery mean to you as a title? Because are we talking about the ship? Are we talking about the act? Because if we're talking about the ship, then if you don't send this goddamn ship into wherever it's supposed to chill for the next thousands of years, by the end of this season, it's just going to drag for. It's going to be like one of those things that just doesn't get done forever. It's like, so we have to wait for that finale of that. But if the term Discovery is talking about the act, then this crew will make this sacrifice, get rid of the Discovery, and then take on another ship. Or Discovery A, like they did the Enterprise in all the movies.
Or it's not about either one of those things. And the Perpetual Infinity is just talking about the idea they had when just shooting the data through fucking...
No, not the title of this episode, the title of the show. If the show is Star Trek Discovery and you get rid of the ship called Discovery, then that's what I'm saying, is Discovery...
Oh, gotcha.
My bad.
I thought you said episode, and I was like...
I may have said it. I may have, but yeah, what I'm talking about is the title of this show. The title of this series is Star Trek Discovery. If we're talking about the ship Discovery, then we can't shoot this thing in the future because then you have a show that's about a ship we don't have anymore.
Yeah, but you can shoot it in the future. Like, who says it has to happen right the fuck now? Like,
because we literally just 30 minutes ago bitched about them not wrapping anything up. And so if they don't shoot it in the future right now, then we know it's going to have to happen at the end of the show, at the end of the series, for the ship to be then put, out into whatever quadrant it is all by itself in that ion storm.
That is if my idea on an offshoot is right. And even then, even if you guessed that 6 years beforehand, you'd be like, holy shit, I was fucking right. Like, at no point would you be like, God damn it, I fucking knew that the whole time.
But they've already teased us the fact that that's where it ends up. We already know where the Discovery ends up. We've seen the short track.
I'm saying, even if that's the end of the show, they're sending off of the Discovery. All they're doing is leaving the show to be picked up later. That's all they're doing with that. And then they go, hey, we have Star Trek. Because you guys like fucking title changes, we couldn't have just called it Star Trek and just made it Star Trek again. Star Trek again. You wanted to put a subtitle under there, so for everybody out there that needs a change every 4 or 5 fucking years, here you go. It's Star Trek Sunset. I don't know. Star Trek Alpha Time B. Fuck it, whatever, man.
Star Trek Time Crystal.
Yeah, seriously. That, to me, that has no bearing on the show whatsoever. If that is the end game of this writing, kudos to them, because then they send the ship off. They force a new group of Star Trek people to take over and have something to leech onto. And then you always have this badass dangling thing out there that weren't the Romulans something that no one had ever fucking seen forever, and then finally someone took a ballsy chance and was like, yo, here they are, or some shit. Mm-hmm. That's what the Discovery will then be. That short trek will be damn, dude, we have the send off, and then that fucking short trek is our only info for that shit.
True. Yeah. And now that we've said good AI and bad AI, and if you had seen the short trek, because I know you haven't watched that one or any of them.
Nope.
That the ship it's a very
because I know you said it's romancing, it's heartfelt.
Yeah, it's very the AI itself is very non-malicious, so you can tell that it's not. I mean, yes, it could be playing, but it's very it accepted the orders to go where it needed to go, and it jumped there and it stayed there, and that was its orders, and the AI understood that and was like, okay, this is what's happening. If I don't do this, this is what happens, and I'm accepting this mission, and the ship does it.
Yeah,
and that's
at a certain point, that AI is like, I agree with this tactic.
Yep. I've been through my 100,000 years of databases, and I'm A-okay with this. I'm going to go chill out here in the middle of nowhere. Yeah.
Yep. Dr. Strange popped in and said there's only one.
We've talked ourselves into how, and they could end it, and they could send off the ship, and there's 2 ways they could do it. Let me go through this because I know, whatever. Okay. So the end of this season, I think it has to happen this season though, because you showed me the short treks for a reason. So it has to loop, and even the executive producers have said this is going to close. The end of the season is going to close a lot of stuff up for folks that's out there that's not really. It's gonna make some stuff come together. So I'm guessing this is part of it. So
I feel like that part in Snatch where all the scenes finally
line up,
and you're like, oh yeah, nice. please. Yeah,
so you've got either good AI, bad AI, and the good AI Discovery becomes sentient in a couple episodes. It works with the crew to figure out how to defeat or how to stop what's going to happen, and then they all off-board somewhere, and the ship, they set in one course, and the ship makes the jump via the
spore drive or some shit.
Via the spore drive, and because it's way, way far away, what she says, what the ship says in this short trick, and that's where it sits and it's like in some sort of storm where you can't find it on sensors or anything, so it's completely hidden, and that's where it will stay forever, ever. And then that's fine. The crew everybody's cool because they all departed. They get picked up either like on like the Discovery A or a whole new ship, and if it's a whole new ship, then we learn the title of the show is not Discovery the ship, but Discovery the act, by Burnham doing another one of her weird, awkward monologues to everybody where it's like, it never was about the ship. It was always about just the act of discovery. But it's not like, it's almost ham-fisted where it tells you like, okay, in case you thought the title was about the ship, it's actually about... We all
signed up for this and we knew changes were going to happen, but Discovery was what we all were about. We knew from day one Discovery was everything we wanted to discover.
The act of discovering was what we all that's what tied us all together across the timelines through time crystal. Yeah, that's what it'll be. So I kind of hope we're right. Now I'm gonna be kind of upset if that's not how it ends up. Let's see. Anything else major in this episode? We talked about Leland. He got maybe Borgified, but definitely he has control. Control has Section 31 ship now. They got 50-something% of the data by the end of it. He stabs Ash. Boy, he's got some super speed too, man. He closed his face up and covered that 15 feet between the two of them in like no time.
Yeah.
When he messed Ash up bad.
Yeah, dude, that was like watching someone do like the first 3 strides to like a triple jump or something. Like you just were like, how does anyone have like a gait that fucking long?
Right.
Nah.
Do you like the relationship between Giorgio and Tyler that's starting to blossom? Where their little banter back and forth on the secure comm, where she's like, now go see what Leland does in the dark, and he's like, say please.
Yeah. I think like both of them realize at the end of the day, like they kind of, how do I put this, man? Like,
you think they're going to bring him over to her show when her show starts up? I bet they will.
Oh, yeah. I'd bet my pinky on. I would bet my pinky on that. Like, I would throw that out there.
Mm-hmm.
If
the way she was talking, because she's like, "This is your first test at our new friendship or whatever, or your first test of our relationship," and like, it's like, cool. You're going to be her first officer, and that's going to be awesome.
Well, Leland's always been like the dude, like
Ash
when you have,
or Leland.
No, Leland. Yeah, Leland.
Okay.
Not Ash. Not talking about Ash, but Leland. Like,
Okay.
Like he's always kind of been like the guy that came into your circle of friends and was friends with like one of the guys, but he's not like terrible, so no one else really like kind of fucked with him. But like when he did say something dumb, like the dude that was his friend never said anything, but the other like 3 or 4 dudes sitting behind were like, oh, blah, 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 and like rattled off like nothing too rough, but just enough to like know that we can do this all day if you keep saying dumb shit like that. Like,
right
here. Like that is how Giorgio and Ash treat Leland. Like he says shit and they both know in the back of their head that like, even though their game plans were different, like they really don't give a fuck, like whatever he's chatting, like. And then I think they both kind of caught on to that. And so now you're getting the whole like, oh, you're cool. I'm cool. We really don't give 2 fucks about that guy. So we're going to do this, And of course, Giorgio knows like the guy that is basically a modified fucking Cleon at this point is probably a pretty good dude to have on your side. Like, he's going to be able to fuck some people up when he gets over his, like, my hands are weapons, feeling like...
Right, get over that woe is me and accept the fact that you're a badass, dude. It's fine.
Yeah, like when he gets whatever his resolution is with Michael, or whatever. Or even if it's just like his closing moment, he goes over to the new show and does his thing. Like, I almost guarantee on that side of the show, I don't think it'll be a crazy contrast on like Joey and Friends, where he goes from like really dumb to like all of a sudden like just super streetwise smart and shit, like helping his new sister out. But like Ash is pretty much just gonna be like, I've kind of been nice to everybody and brushing off a lot of shit for some love, and that is just obviously not working out the way I want it right now. So like, I'm just gonna fuck up everything else that is a minor annoyance to me at this point. Like, I guarantee he'll have so many confrontations with people where it's just like the look of like, oh yeah, you know, you want to do that, right? and someone will butt up to him, and then nothing will actually really happen because Ash will always be slightly taller. And then the one guy that is actually head height with him or taller will be the dude he gets in a fight with, and then Ash will fuck him up, and everybody will be like, dude, he beat a bigger guy up. Don't fuck with him.
Right. Where was I
don't know who they're going to find that's bigger than him, though, because that guy's not small.
Well, they had him on the Ready Room this week, the behind the scenes type show on Fridays. And First off, that dude is doing us a disservice by using an American accent, because that dude is British. And like it is, and his voice, I think, is like when he started talking, I turned to my wife and I was like, well, that's hot. I was like, that's a shame he's not using that voice. Like, I was like, why does everybody got to be British? Why does everybody have to be American?
I love that, like, that's the accent that like does it for you.
Gets me. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, like because
and you know what? It doesn't, and it's not even
like, it's just funny because it's like, dude, it's just English, right? Like, it's not like someone's tongue was trained completely different and then they learned English and then they speak with like their roles of R's in English and stuff like that, or things like that. This is just like, you were just in a different area, like being in Kentucky versus California versus learning English in New York. Like, it's like, to me, like, I'm always like, British accent, huh? Like, is it because you just understand it and it's just like, I guess, quote unquote, nicer in your ear?
Mm-hmm.
Or, you know, like, trying to think who else. Like, let's say like Sofia Vergara, right? Like with her accent, and she wasn't like hamming it up for fucking TV, but like a Colombian English accent, like that's just like, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's got
I'm trying to figure out like, where's, like, what's your nuance with it?
I don't. You know what? Because I think it's any of the English language. It's any of the people who also speak English that aren't American. Like, so I enjoy a proper like British accent. I enjoy a Cockney accent. I enjoy Australian. I enjoy New Zealand because there's a difference. I like all like that whole the British realm of locate. Like, I enjoy all of those.
Everywhere English was spread and not American.
Right. Yeah. And I think it even bothers me that the actor has to do an American accent because why? Because why? Why can't the guy just have a British accent? Why does it have to? Because and we have listeners who don't live in the U.S., so I'm sure they will agree with me. Like, why does everybody have to talk like a fucking American hick? Like, just plain old standard blah blah as they listen to us talk like American hicks. That's. I mean, it's just, why can't it be more diverse? I mean, yes. Why does it matter? Why does it matter? Like, why does the person have to change their accent?
I'll tell you why it matters. It's the only reason it matters is because of the statistics. It's just, if someone comes in with an English accent, whether it's a clear as day English accent or like a fucking hardcore like Cockney accent, there are just going to be people like Mouse is a prime example of this. If you put on anything outside of an American accent on television and they were speaking English, you had to turn subtitles on. She could not listen and actually understand what the fuck they were saying. Like, and she was like, dude, I'm not. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, you cannot understand what they're saying right now. And she's like, no, like she's like, I get it. Like I hear certain words. She's like, but I don't. I really just don't grab it. Like I spoke to these dudes that were from fucking Trinidad this weekend. Mm-hmm. And I literally looked at him. I said, what other language are you guys speaking? And they go, we're just speaking English. And I was like, don't fuck with me, man. Like, I'm like, please don't. Just because I'm white, like, and I'm like, what language do you speak? Like, don't fuck with me, right? And they started laughing, and they're like, dude, I'm not. I promise. And he goes, it's just the way we talk. And he goes, if you listen, you'll understand.
If you listen, you white hick.
Well, no, it was funny because he started talking again, and even though he was moving his mouth at the same speed, like his words were, it was like watching a child write that hasn't learned how to put spaces in between their words. Like that's how he was speaking. But once you realize that that was the role of his mouth, your brain started chopping the words up for me. And I was like, oh, dude, I'm picking everything he's up fucking clear as day. But when you first hear it, because you would be like, oh, he said coconut, because there's a lot of syllables in that one. You're going to fucking understand that word, right? But then he would say something like, you pass me the fucking ketchup or something, and there's like a little bit, and he would rattle that off, and you just look at him, and you're like, dude, I don't speak Trinidad. Like, I don't know what that is. And he's like, dude, it's English, homie. And I'm like, oh, man. Like, you know, and I'm like, oh, fucking shame on me. But that's the exact reason right there. Like,
I know. Now that you said it, I know someone else who won't even watch a show if there's a British accent because she can't. I'm like, why don't you turn on subtitles? She's like, I'm not going to. I was like, well, yeah, you're the problem.
Yeah, like that is the exact reason. Like you couldn't. I mean, and I know that's like these guys' accent was hardcore, right? But even then, like you couldn't bring in the most basic of accents. Like you could bring in someone like, say, Zoe Bell, who's like Uma Thurman's stunt double with her accent. Yeah, I'm just doing it for everybody else. I know, because everyone else needs to go watch YouTube clips of this woman get thrown off of shit and then pop up smiling and say, I'm okay. Like it's the fucking greatest thing in the world. But her cute little spunky self could literally get on there and talk about whatever the fuck she wanted, and like with her accent, and no one would really care because two, she's hot and she has an insane, like just infectious personality. Like not a lot of people would really be upset about that.
Right.
But like, could you imagine like even Ash and like his accent? And I haven't heard it, but I'm going to go off of you. Of how like great it was. Right. But could you imagine him doing an argument in that accent on this show and like really having to like ramp it up? And then all of a sudden is like just heavy English accent in a argument with Michael, you know, like correct. Speaking all like concise and logical. Like it just for American audiences, that shit will never work.
And in the plot from season 1, it would have given him away if he had spoken in it. He was the only guy speaking in an English accent who was a Klingon and then a human. You know, I mean, that would have thrown it off. That'd have been even more of a giveaway than it already was in the first season.
Well, shit, dude. It may have even hit him even more if he spoke in an English accent and then he just did the Klingon like
American.
Yeah, like in his American accent, and then like spoke in the Klingon that way. Like that may have fucked some people's heads up. Like just what? Because that's the thing. Like now that we're talking about languages, that I don't think a lot of people like grasp. But when people learn how to speak like the people of a region, you know, when they turn that on and then use that like distinctive dialect kind of framing and talk in another language, it is like fucking mind. Just it breaks your brain. You're like, those like those combinations of like Skittles used to do it in their commercials, like a Scottish Korean, like when you know, like it's stuff like that. Like it was just shit you just don't see, and it just like it makes you uncomfortable. You go, I know that was the first time, and I'm not saying it did anything bad, but I don't know how to handle that. Like yeah. My lizard brain is now kicked in a little bit, and I don't know what to fucking do.
Right. Let's see. I think we covered most of it. There's a couple things. Dr. Burnham does reference the fact that she could tell Pike more about his future, but he probably wouldn't like it. And that's, she's alluding to the wheelchair and the accident. That was kind of cool. She also, I like her conversation with Giorgio before the fight starts, when she's like, I've seen you sacrifice yourself for Burnham numerous times, put your life on the line for her and sacrifice yourself for her. And she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. You have me confused with my prime, counterpart. I'm Terran, and we don't do that." And she's like, No. I know exactly who you are. And so I'm thinking she's alluding to something in the future, down the road, maybe something during Giorgio's show, something like that. But that was kind of cool. There's a lot of, the best thing about listening to
I thought she was just saying that, like, I know the mirror universe exists. I've been bouncing around fucking time. Like,
right.
What do you like? I know because I would not be surprised if she, in her bouncing around, figured out that the mirror universe is a thing, went through it, and like spoke to a later Giorgio or somebody, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, it's somewhere, because the only thing I dislike about her coming in and kind of saying things like that is we're still trying to be like, I feel like they're still trying to insinuate that we're on a singular timeline.
Right.
But like when she says stuff like that, I'm like, okay, well, that makes me think that, like before when you were bouncing around watching Michael grow up and do stuff, you bounced in on the timeline and saw that they found the mirror universe and hopped over there. And then she's just making parallels that just run off to the same conclusion. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm almost at the point that I don't think we're talking about a singular timeline anymore. I think we're just talking about that every timeline so far has come to this point, and then after this point, this is what fucking happens. Like, I haven't found the one that stops this, right? Like, so far, quote unquote, they are a singular timeline, but I think really it's just a bunch of parallels that have all just ended the same fucking way. Like, she's trying to find the one somewhere that branches right at that point, right before it, that keeps going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because all the ones she's been on, they start as one, they split off, but then they come back together, and it ends up being the same ending every time. Yeah, and did you catch the fact that her home base is the Terra Elysium, the place where all the people got pulled with the church? That's the planet she's using in the future, the 950 years in the future. She's on Terra Elysium. She said she's 50,000 light years away. That's that planet. She's like, this planet shows that, humanity can survive as long as there's no tech or anything, which is weird because then he gave the guy the tech for the lights, and you figure after 950 years they'd have done some sort of, something, but I guess not. So they're all still good, and that planet's thriving. She said now that planet itself, Terra Elysium, is thriving with human life, but it's because there's no tech there that Control can't find it, doesn't know it's there, type thing. So
yeah, but I wonder if it's like, because he kind of just gave him like really a super battery.
True. Yes. Also, by the way, do we know how? We know she can travel through time, but how is she traveling? How is she traveling normally? That was not explained either. Since we're talking science stuff earlier, like she jumps in the future from where she was with, in the closet, when she put Burnham in the closet as a kid, and she jumps in the future, but she's I guess she's not in the same place because the planet's not there, but it could be because everything's moving in space. But so how does she get, when she's 950 years in the future, how does she then get from that point in space 50,000 light years away to where Terra Elysium is? Like, does the time crystal also allow movement? Just standard movement? I don't know. They never say anything.
Well, no, you just shorten the time jump.
No, I'm talking when like distance, not anything dealing with time.
I get that, but like, if you still want to say move, if she can just appear anywhere in time, she can appear wherever she lands, right? Instead of walking or hopping in a car or getting in a spaceship. All she does is queue up that time machine with new coordinates for the same fucking time, like either the exact same time.
Okay, so she can
different
plug in
location.
the coordinates. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
that, or because that's the only way I feel she's been able to travel, because she goes pinpoints right on Michael. Like, you gotta say, or brain focus or whatever. So if she's like, I know where Terralisium is, like she's like Nightcrawler, time warp, whatever. You know, she opens a fucking hole and just goes there.
Right.
That's what I would imagine she does.
I'm with you there. Yeah. Because she screwed it up. She screwed it up anyways when she first tried to use the suit at the very original time when the Klingons landed it at Doctari Alpha. So, you know, who knows? But
yeah, I mean, that would. I just kind of. I don't know how else I don't know how you travel anywhere through anything without a quote unquote destination.
Coordinates, yeah. Okay.
Like,
I'm with you on that one. That makes sense.
Some kind of stopping point. Like, even if it was like, to travel there, I have to waste 5 seconds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she's like, fuck it, it's 5 seconds. I just moved like 10 light years to do it. You know, whatever. Like,
right.
So, yeah, I mean, I would imagine she's just probably been just treating that thing like a fucking door. Especially with 850 some odd jumps when it's really only been 20 years. Like, that's a lot
still
of
want to
fucking
know.
moving.
That is. I still want to know
that's
how
an
she moved.
Insane amount of moving.
How she moved that entire church, though, because I don't know. That whole suit doesn't seem like it cares about anything else around it other than just it and her inside of it. They haven't explained that yet to us either.
No, but I also imagine like that suit is just, you know what you know about it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, it's kind of like probably like buying a Tesla or something, or like just the first time you get to buy like anything nice. You know, you're like, oh shit, man, this thing's got a little more fucking weight and buttons than anything I've ever. What does this one do? Like, right? You know, I bet you when we actually get a first like close up on the suit, we're like, oh damn, dude, like she had a blowtorch in her hand like the whole fucking time. Like she could have just fucked some people up, you know, because if Section 31 was working on this, they probably put some offensive gizmos on this suit as well. Because I would imagine in one of those jumps, she's ran across something that was like, not today, sister. And she was like, oh shit, and had to do something about it, right?
Right.
You know, or at least it's just got a thing that like can concentrate a massive amount of power, because whatever the fuck she did when like saving the planet and popping it on Michael that time, like, you know,
there is a lot more that we don't know about it. You're very right in that. So okay, I'm interested to see. The problem is we'll never fucking know now because the suit's destroyed. The suit's all messed up. There's no time crystal. It got a whole shot through it by Leland, by Robo-Leland, and or Leland 2.0 or whatever we're gonna call him. But yeah,
but that's just there. Like, we don't know like when she gets sucked back out if there's just like, I mean, I would imagine that she's maybe snagged another time crystal along her travels, probably realizing at some point it's a good idea. So maybe a base of operations, like there's something and just repairs need to happen at this point, and it's more like, can I actually fucking repair this thing?
Right. Well, and sending that hurt the mother and the suit back into the future messed up a whole lot of the internet's ideas that Burnham was going to get in the suit. And since Dr. Burnham knew nothing about the 7 red bursts in the sky, that those were actually going to be tied to Burnham moving throughout time because they get a hold of another suit or that suit because it was coded genetically or DNA strand, but because they are mother and daughter, they share a shit ton of that. So it would have worked for her, but not somebody else, that kind of thing. So with the hole being shot through, the crystal being destroyed, there's a whole lot more work the writers have to do to get somebody else in that suit, is all I'm saying. And to learn all the cool new gadgets and gizmos that it can do that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, but at least like Mom's not dead, so she could always do like the, Zorro routine and pass it on like it's just a name. You know.
So yeah, I mean not the most revealing episode, not a bad episode.
No, this was definitely your like, hey, we've been talking your ear off for a little bit and we know you guys were wanting Spock real bad, and here's some action like to take your mind off shit, which is funny because like Spock was almost like not in this episode at fucking all, like, you know.
And next week is the one of the red bursts appear. It's over the Klingon planet of Borith. We were gonna get, and in the preview there's a shot where you see Discovery, and off to the side you can see part of the hull of the new Klingon battlecruiser they were introducing on our first shot on the Klingon homeworld when Ash was there saying this is our new ship. So we're going to get to see that thing, that the new representation of what we remember from the old the original series. So that's going to be awesome. L'Rell will be back, of course. So we'd see her and Ash. We get a little awkwardness there since him and Burnham are kind of rekindling a few things. He's back on the ship for good because he jettisoned himself into a life pod or whatever. So he'll be on Discovery for good now. And then it's going to be figure out how to get Robo-Leland and get everything taken care of. I'm still loving this season way more than last season. I enjoyed last season, but this one is still I'm just ready for them to let's start. I'm tired of being left with so many questions, even after it's like, oh, we know who the Red Angel is, and that tells us nothing. So, any last words, sir? Or have you talked yourself out?
Yeah, man. I think I'm ready to shut up.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for staying on this long. We appreciate each and every one of you that listen. Don't forget to check us out on Twitter. Check out twodadsreview.com. Find all of our episodes there. And we will catch you guys next week for episode 12 of Discovery. Until then, see you later.
Later, Gators.